Hello and welcome to Safe Pasture. My name is Sherry Hammers, and today we will be continuing on our From the Heart series on praying for the lost. I have brought here again my scripture cards that I wanted to share with you, the things that I've collected so far to pray over people in my life that I just really want to see them come to just a full understanding and relationship with God and a surrender to Him. And anyway, I had left off, I believe, on Isaiah 55, a scripture there. And so I'm going to continue today we'll start with Jeremiah 24, 6 through 7. And God's talking. He says, "For I will set mine eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to this land." Excuse me. "And I will build them and not pull them down, and I will plant them and not pluck them up. And I will give them an heart to know me, that I am the Lord, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God. For they shall return unto me with their whole heart." Well, when I pray for lost loved ones, I look at this and God says He's got His eye on them. He's got His eye on them for good, and He will bring them again to this land, to the place of knowing God. That's how I see that. And I will, and the land of the other believers, like He's going to bring them into the congregation of the believers. And He says, "I will build them and not pull them down." And I will plant them and not pluck them up. So God's going to plant something good. Remember, Jesus talked about a tree bearing good fruit or not bearing good fruit. And so God says He's going to plant something that's not going to be plucked up. It's not going to bear rotten fruit. And He says He's going to give them a heart to know Him. And isn't that what we want? We want their heart to change. We want their heart to come to a place of surrender to God, that He is the Lord, that they're not in charge of their destiny anymore, but that the Lord, Jehovah, the covenant God, that's the word that's used here. In the English Bible, when you see Lord, L-O-R-D, all in caps, it's talking about Jehovah or Yahovah or Yahweh, however you choose to pronounce that. And that means the God of the covenant. Elohim, the other usage of God in the English Bibles, it means the Creator God. The Creator God is the one that, of course, He is the origin of everything. But I'm just kind of making a point here, because you hear people talk about, everybody's a child of God or whatever, and that's not true. Everyone is a creation of God. But to be a child of God, you got to come to Him as Jehovah God, the God of the covenant. You got to have surrender. Anyway, He says, "And they shall be my people, and I will be their God." And in another scripture, I haven't checked this one out, but in another scripture, I think it's in the next one that we're going to talk about, which is Ezekiel 36, it says the same thing. It says, "I will be their God and they will be my people," or the other way around. "They shall be my people and I will be their God." But that word "be" actually means become. And I love that, because it speaks of a process. Like they shall become, as time goes on, more and more, as they give up more and more of their heart to me, they shall become my people. And on the flip side of that, I will become their God. I will be more and more their God. And He says, "And for they shall return unto me with their whole heart." So what a good prayer to pray over your lost loved ones, that they would not be half-hearted in their coming to God, but it would be their whole heart. All right, moving on to the one I talked about from Ezekiel. Ezekiel 36, 24 through 29, and then verse 31. He says, "For I will take you," God says, "for I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God. I will also save you from all your uncleannesses. Then in verse 31, then shall ye remember your own evil doings, your own evil ways, and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Well, there's a lot there, but I'm just going to break it down really quickly. He says he's going to pull them out of the places that they're in. So if you've got a lost loved one that is out in the world, they've decided that that's where they want to be, like the prodigal son. God says, I'm going to bring you back to where you belong. Remember the prodigal? He came back to the land where he belonged. He came back to the Father. And God says, then I'm going to take clean water and I'm going to clean you from all of these unclean, filthy things that you've gotten into. What does it say? You should be clean. I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you should be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. It makes me think of baptism and also the laver in the tabernacle. He says, a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit. Again, just like in Jeremiah, he talks about that new heart and new spirit. And I'll take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. I love this passage of Scripture so much because God talks about giving you a heart of flesh, and then he writes his commands, his laws. He says, I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. He writes his laws on the new heart, and he has the Spirit there to empower us and them, anyone that comes to God, to walk in his ways. And he says, you shall keep. The word keep means to protect. So you'll protect my judgments. And so you'll cherish, the person will treasure these judgments and also perform them. So that's why I was questioning that one time, like, why does he say you'll keep my judgments and do them? I thought keeping laws was the same as doing them, but when you get into the etymology of the word keep, it actually means like a safe place, especially when you're in danger. But he says, you shall keep my judgments and do them. So not only will you treasure them, you'll actually put them into action. And you will dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people. Again, you'll become my people, and I will become your God. I will also save you from all your uncleannesses. There's a lot of fallout. There's things that when we do sin, when we do wickedness, there's a lot of uncleanness, especially in our hearts. It needs to be cleared out. But I love it. It's to the point here at verse 31. Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good. And you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Later on, probably not this video because it's much later on, but there's a scripture in James that talks about let your joy turn to heaviness. Let your laughter turn to mourning. So we want the sinner who is truly repented, we want them to loathe. We want them to hate, to be repulsed by their wickedness so that they never return to it. It talks about the sow returning to the mud. If a pig was repulsed by mud, they would never go back, but they still love it. And that's the danger. You don't want someone or even yourself to love the world and want to go back to it. You want to loathe it. It says for your iniquities and for your abominations. That we would it's really just saying that we put sin in the proper perspective, because look at our world. Our world glorifies sin. Our world loves sin. And it's given to us through media in such subtle ways that it creeps back in and it tempts us to think that it's okay. But God says he wants to do such a clean sweep of our hearts that he wants it completely gone. He wants us repulsed. He wants our new nature to say, I will never have anything to do with that sin nature again, that we would hate it with every fiber of our being. That's what I'm praying for these people. That's why I'm going, This is one of my favorites in this. I mean, they're all good. They're all blessings. But that one really just, that whole passage seems to cover a lot of ground when you're praying for the lost. Well, now I'm going to go into one more, and then we're going to sign off until next time. But now I'm in Matthew 5:6. And it's in the Beatitudes, but it's this one. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. I pray that this person I'm praying for, or these people that I'm praying for, that they will hunger and thirst for righteousness, that they will not want to hunger after what I just talked about, the allurement of the world, but that they would hunger and thirst for righteousness, and they would be filled. Actually, I'll just go on to the next one. Matthew 9:38. Jesus is speaking again. He says, "Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest." And this is a really good one, because a lot of times, for whatever reason, but sometimes it's just easier for people that, especially if you've witnessed to them and you've talked to them about God before, and for whatever reason, they don't want to hear it from you. Well, God has other people that they will listen to. You know, God says that one plants, another waters, but God gives the increase. So God, just let him use. It doesn't have to be you. All right? So you just be used to water this with your prayers, but the seed of the word, but just let go of the idea that it has to come, like you have to close the deal. Because God has people all over the place that he can use. And that's why Jesus said, ask the Father, the Lord of the harvest. Let God, he is in charge of the harvest field. So just let him decide who goes and picks which little head of grain. You know, let him decide who harvests where in the field. Because God will use people you would never even thought of, or you don't even know exist. And, you know, it's something, I'll just close with this, but it's something I've added on to this prayer for laborers in the harvest field. I'll ask God to, out of those laborers, that he would bring maybe godly friends for that person, or godly mentors, or both. So, you know, let that be part of those laborers. Let them fill those positions of influence in the person that you're praying for's life. Well, our time is up, but thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in, and if you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe and like and share, and we will be back with another one of these scripture videos, because I haven't exhausted my little stack of cards by any means. But I hope this has been helpful, and if it has been, please leave a comment and just let me know how this is, if you like this, if you like more type of teaching like this. I would just want to really serve you. So thank you again for coming, and God bless.